The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk in partnership with thechairshot.com, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and in association with NDPW.com. Turnbuckle Talk is sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast. Turnbuckle Talk is also partnered with Phoenix at FNXFit.com, where you get 15% off all your health supplements simply by using promo code TBTalkPod. Follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you catch your favorite programs. And now, pro wrestling fanatics, are you ready? Here are your hosts, Mighty Joe Morin and Karufel.
That is right. Welcome, everybody. I am Karl Karufel, joined by Mighty Joe Morin. As always on this program, it is so good to be back another week in professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes, absolutely, Karl. And, before we get to our usual kind of discussion, I think it's been a while since we kind of did like a weekly recap of, what's been going on. How are things up there in your case, even more so than myself, the great white north of Northern Ontario, Canada?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it has been just nuts, to be honest, when it comes to the weather. We've thankfully had a very mild winter, but the last couple of days have just been hellacious. I would assume the only reason for that is that something is happening with Kane, and he has opened up those depths to hell from whence he has come. The snow has been falling. Very high winds have been going on. The other day, 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I actually slipped and fell while at work. Last night was, again, very, very slippery going around all the properties that I check during my day job. Just been nuts. I mean, nuts. What about for you?
For me, compared to you, it's been pretty uneventful in that case. It's weather-wise, it's been very odd here. Things are melting a little bit. There's even patches of grass kind of going on, but there's ice as well. It's the temperature keeps swinging back and forth, so headaches galore. But other than that, hey, I got nothing to complain about. So,
well, that's essentially what happened here too. Yesterday it was very warm during the day, which was fantastic. It was beautiful. The snow was melting. The sun was shining. Everything was just all in alignment. It was perfect. And then it got cold. It got windy. About 3 o'clock-ish this morning, it really started to come down with snow, which then put a blanket over top of all the black ice that's there now since it was warm, going to freezing. Yeah, so I'm about done with winter. I need to move to Florida so that I can just have sunshine and warmth. I know it's not all the time, but it's better than having myself dumped with snow.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, let's move on to some wrestling discussion then, and let's kick off with, I guess, one of the bigger pieces of news kind of going on in the wrestling world this past week, and I guess a big signing from AEW in the form of Mr. Paul Wright, signing what appears to be obviously a long-term deal with AEW. This kind of happened out of nowhere, Karl, and what's your initial take on this? Because for me, in 2021, it was kind of like, okay, for me, it was like maybe 10 years ago, it would have been really, really cool. But for now, it's just like, to do a lot of the newer audience even know who this gentleman is. Nothing against Mr. Big Show. Loved his time in WWE, WCW, but just I don't know. It was weird. It didn't really kind of move the needle too much for me, Karl. I mean, I know a lot of people were pretty excited. For me, it was pretty underwhelming.
First off, we have to make sure that everybody knows and understands the Big Show is Paul Wright. Not Paul Wright, but Paul Wright.
Paul Wright? Are you sure?
Yes, Wight. There's no R included in there.
Okay.
You had written down Wright, so I had to look it up and research it. Okay. I'm going, something doesn't sound or look right here. So I looked it up, and multiple different sources that I took a look at show me Wight, not Wright. Just so that no one gets confused, we are talking about the Big Show. The Big Show essentially signing a contract with the Big Show happening right now. All Elite Wrestling. To my understanding, though, what this is essentially is a commentary contract with a little bit of in-ring competition sprinkled in there. This is going to be for their new dark programming that they're going to be doing. So essentially, AEW is coming out with a third show that is going to be a YouTube show, just like Dark. It's going to be a secondary Dark. I can't remember exactly what they're calling it. It's Dark something. But yeah, that's essentially what's happening with that. And I mean, you look at the Big Show and how much time he has put into the business. You spoke about, Paul being in WCW, WWE, ECW, the WWE's ECW, just to clarify.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the man has held the championship in WCW, in WWE, in WWE's version of ECW. He's held that championship as well. The guy has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to professional wrestling. I think it's a really good acquisition, and if he's happy, I'm happy. Some of the reports coming out is that the Big Show or Paul was not happy with a segment that happened backstage on the quote-unquote Legends Night of Raw, a thing with Randy Orton that had happened. And I get putting over stars, but I think Randy Orton didn't need any of that put over that really happened. And I think Paul felt the same way and decided that, hey, if you're just going to create me out to be a joke, I'm going to go where they value me. So,
yeah. Just, it feels like you just kind of mentioned it, that it really is starting to feel like, and this isn't the only case here, of where AEW feels like this is the place for disgruntled former WWE employees to go. It really, really is starting to feel like that. To play, the other side of things, it feels like everybody who's pissed off with WWE is going to AEW.
Well, I mean, it could be seen that way. I'm not seeing it that way, though. To be honest with you, how I'm seeing it is that AEW is trying to bring in these guys that know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Right? So you've got some of these older names. You definitely do, right? Tully Blanchard. You've got Taz. You've got Jake the Snake Roberts. You got the Big Show now. Or Paul Wright. You've got Paul now. So these are all guys that have been around the block multiple times when it comes to professional wrestling. And AEW is still a young company. Only in the second year, technically. Mm-hmm. So who better to bring in than seasoned people who can help grow your business and company? I think that's essentially what's going on here. It's not just a disgruntled, stomping grounds for people that have been pissed off with what the WWE has done to them. I think that's bullshit. I don't believe that that's exactly what's happening at all. If that were the case, Enzo and Cass would be there. Two other disgruntled employees with the WWE. Right? Anybody that's been pissed off would just go, AEW, it's right there, and I'm just going to go. We're not seeing all of these people that have been pissed off with the WWE
Well, a good portion
AEW.
of them. A good portion of them. We have Rusev, we have Big Show.
That's bullshit.
We have Rusev. We have Big Show now. Jake recently was quoted of calling Vince an asshole, and now that he's opening up about some of that kind of stuff going on. So just to kind of see things from the opposite viewpoint here is that that's how I'm kind of perceiving it. It feels like this is where if you feel disenfranchised by the WWE, you go to AEW, and I think that they need to be careful too. And I guess in this case too, I mean, the roster feels like it's getting really bloated. Now we have a very, very big guy there in the form of Mr. Paul Wright. I apologize for getting that name incorrect. But, I mean, their rosters, especially when you throw in all the people that they use for Dark and whatnot, their roster's getting really, really big. And I'm just wondering if they're spreading themselves a little too thin now.
I don't think that they're spreading themselves too thin at all. To your point, I just want to throw this out there just for a quick second. You talk about disgruntled employees going AEW, blah, 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 all of that stuff, right? How many employees were let go in 2020?
Quite a few, yeah.
How many of them did we actually see go to AEW? Maybe 1.3% of the total that were let go. So... Yeah. I for me, and I totally understand. I get what you're coming from. I get what you're saying. I can see your point. Mm-hmm. I'm not essentially believing and seeing that point to its full extent that maybe you're seeing it at. When you talk about the roster being bloated, you're right. There is a large roster when it comes to AEW, but that's why they're doing what they're doing on YouTube and allowing a third show to come into being to kind of spread things out a little bit. So, I mean, I'm okay with that because I think we're gonna really start to see more of like a beginning grounds and then a move up to, right? So that type of thing, and I'm okay with that.
We just have to be careful that we don't allow history to repeat itself. I mean, let's use the WCW as a reference here because I think it very much applies here. Especially when WCW started to do now. Keeping in mind too, with Ted Turner and everybody involved. I mean, there was a lot of money being kind of thrown around, but then we got into when we started doing Thunder, right, where they bit off more than they can chew, and production costs got too expensive, and we started to run into those kind of problems. So I just tell AEW, anybody running this company, if you happen to be watching this episode, just be careful that you don't bite off more than you can chew. That's all I will say. Just tread carefully.
And you know what, your points on that are totally valid. They definitely are. Historically, taking a look at things, you're right. They need to take a look back and learn from those mistakes. Yep. And I think that essentially they are, because production for Dark really isn't over the top.
No.
You get one of the bigger stars that's being seen on Dark. Then they do some pyro. They do a little bit of stuff like that. So, it costs a little bit more for that stuff. Totally. But it's not in like every matchup or every star that comes out that they're really, going over the top, especially with a production side of things. It's very minimal on Dark. So I think that they may have learned a little bit, and hopefully that they have, and that this will continue into this new show that they're doing, where it's just a very minimal setting that's going on. So it's not a lot for production that needs to be paid out, and they can focus the money and production side of things on the television broadcasted program that has commercials and these things that has all this money and revenue coming in from the television, because they're not I doubt that they're making absolutely anything from YouTube. So
maybe some ad revenue to a certain extent, depending on how many views. Because I mean, to generate, to actually collect as a content creator from somebody who's done YouTube, you need to get up into like the multiple thousands before you even see any kind of actual funds trickling in. So you need to get up into those high numbers. I mean, they're getting into like the hundreds of thousands. So I imagine they're getting 1,000 or they're getting something. But I mean, for them, it's a drop, little drips in the bucket, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't believe that they're really getting very much per month when it comes to anything from YouTube, right? So, I mean, for that, it's just going to be a pizza party for everybody, right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
That's really about it. That's all I could see it being.
Speaking of wrestling on YouTube here, Karl, it kind of transitions nicely into our next topic. In kind of investigating, and this ties into a bit of another one too, on a bit of a sad note, kind of investigating what's happening here. Those who I guess would know him as Josephus, otherwise in real life known as Joseph Hudson, did pass away very suddenly this past week, and a great outpouring from the wrestling industry as usual when this kind of thing happens. And then kind of investigating what was going on with the NWA, or the National Wrestling Alliance, and some very curious things here, Karl. When you go to their YouTube channel, every single video has been removed, and when you go to their actual website, nationalwrestlingalliance.com, actually I'm on the site right now as we speak, and you go into their merchandise section, and it is completely barren of anything. Karl, what are these folks up to? What do you think? What are they doing?
I think honestly it's just a shift. I think that's what's happening. I think that the NWA as we know it isn't going anywhere, but I think what's going to happen is that there may be a little bit of a rebranding that's going to be happening.
Okay.
A little bit of investigations that I've done as well. I've seen that the videos are not removed; they're hidden. Okay. So the public cannot see them, but they are all still there, which leads me to believe that there could be a rebranding that is happening. And what better way to get the new branding on your videos than to just take absolutely everything, hide them, edit them, because YouTube allows you to edit right inside the YouTube program. Do all of the edits that you need to do. All merchandise, you say it's pretty barren, right?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing in their merchandise section right now. So,
right?
Yep.
Rebrand.
Yep.
So let's take all of this merchandise, take it off of the website, because we will still be able to make money after the rebranding by selling these as vintage NWA merchandise. I hope that's what's going on, because if not, I'm going to be very, very sad to see, the NWA leave. But taking a look a little further, I'm seeing reports that the NWA will be doing tapings very soon. So again, that leads me to believe that there's only going to be a rebranding that's happening in this type of a situation, and not a full dismantlement of the company itself. So if they're going to be going and doing more tapings, I am almost guaranteed that it's just a rebranding. What do you think?
I'm going to take it even a step further than you. I do agree that there's probably a little bit of rebranding. I think that I would hope that they keep the same logo and the same name and whatnot. I know they're part of that bigger wrestling kind of network as well. I know they're sort of doing stuff with them too. What I see this more kind of turning into, I'd mentioned editing the videos. This would be a good opportunity for them to maybe edit out the Jim Cornette stuff if they wanted to. I don't know if you could possibly do that. I know that'd be a little strange. Maybe you could throw like a puppet in there waving his arms. But What I see here, Karl, is that they're looking to monetize things here, for lack of a better term, moving away from. They saw that they got some decent numbers on YouTube, and there's a demand for their product, and they're going to start their own deal, something similar to Honor Club, something along those lines. That's what I see happening, because, like we had just mentioned with the YouTube, you don't make a lot of money off of YouTube unless you're PewDiePie or somebody who's been established in YouTube for a long time. Even if you are the National Wrestling Alliance, you're not going to touch those kind of numbers. So that's what I see. I look at them at really monetizing their brand to really start making some money to keep things going here. Because otherwise, I mean, if they just keep giving it all away for free, your days may be numbered.
No, I that's a very good point. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I never thought about putting it behind a paywall.
Yep,
I
that's
never
what they're doing.
did. Maybe we need to look at putting our stuff behind a paywall.
We're not the beautiful people here, Karl, but yeah, that's what I see here, and I think it is the right move for them because I think it was great to have it for free for a while, right? In that same kind of vein too. I mean, MLW has been kind of doing, I guess, a little bit of both. You know, they offer paid and free content as well, though a lot of their stuff is available for free. But I think the National Wrestling Alliance, I think they really want to, you know, obviously there's some money behind this brand, and I definitely want to see more of it. I mean, the charm kind of wore off for a little bit for me there because, I mean, along with that too, I mean, just it's wrestling has become a little kind of oversaturated too. There's quite a bit kind of going on, and it's really just hard to, you know, kind of like dedicate yourself, at least I find, to just kind of dedicate yourself to one brand, always kind of be always watching that. Because, I mean, there's Ring of Honor to watch, too. I mean, there's New Japan. Dude, there just isn't enough time in every day of the week to watch all the wrestling out there as much as I would love to. But, you know, with living a real life outside of what we're doing here, it is virtually impossible to watch all the wrestling available out there unless you're Michael Jargo. So,
right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do, and I do hope that they stick around because, I mean, when it comes to tradition, you know, I'm an old school guy. When it comes to professional wrestling, and I would legitimately cry if the National Wrestling Alliance were to go away because, if nothing else, for that glorious World's Heavyweight Championship belt that they have, if that were to go away, that would be a damn shame.
Definitely, it would be. No, I kind of like that idea. I would definitely pay to watch the National Wrestling Alliance. I definitely would. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, hopefully that they make it available on such things as like a Roku streaming device.
I can see that.
Right? Like that would be fantastic. I would love that because I have a Roku. So if I have to, you know, pay $4.99 a month or something for that, I'm okay with that. I would do it.
I'll throw this out there too because you know, on a platform. Well, I know I'm not alone here. As an Apple user, you know, with Apple TV Plus, one thing that we don't have on that streaming service, Karl, is any kind of sports related or you know, sports entertainment thing. Maybe the NWA, maybe they could partner with Apple TV Plus. That could be interesting if that is something that happens.
I caught it.
Yeah, we will definitely accept a royalty fee for that one, for coming up with that idea for you guys.
Right?
Give me some of that Apple money. I want some. All right, Karl.
No, fantastic.
Speaking of money and more signings here, Karl, another one. I was actually surprised that he already wasn't signed with this company, but I'm glad that they do seem to have inked a deal. We're talking Mr. EC3 is officially signed with Ring of Honor. I think this is the perfect place for him to be, and you know, he's been killing it with those promos that control your narrative and all that. I think he has found the right place to be. I mean, he was there with Impact for a little while, and I guess things kind of got sour there. We know what happened in WWE. You know, came in some fanfare, was good for a little bit. You know, that he was part of that absolutely awesome North American title ladder match, and then after that, it seemed like things just kind of fell off for him at that place. But I think Ring of Honor is the perfect place for him to be.
I fully agree. Ring of Honor is an amazing hotbed of talent when it comes to not only new talent, but seasoned talent as well. They have a really good mix of
Really good
older
mix.
guys. They have a really good mix of younger guys. It is just fantastic to see. And I mean, EC3, I guess you could call a veteran.
He's been around for long enough,
like he's not a full old school, but he's kind of that in between type of thing, right? So he's not new, but he's not old. He's relevant.
Yeah.
And he's made himself relevant. You're talking about control your narrative, 100%. Like, he has done fantastic with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm blown away. Like, why couldn't the WWE have allowed EC3 to do EC3 that way? It would have been over the top and worked.
Yeah.
It would have. It's clear that it would have, because it's working right now.
Yep.
And I think that Ring of Honor is a fantastic place for him. I'm super happy with the sign. I was shocked, to be honest with you, because I honestly figured that EC3 would just kind of go, I don't want to be locked down to anywhere anymore. I did that already. I did that with Impact. I did that with NXT. I did that with WWE. I did that with all of these companies, and they screwed me.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm hoping that the things go very well in Ring of Honor. EC3 doesn't get screwed, and everything works out for the best.
It's interesting because it seems like he is. I have no idea what just happened behind me, but we'll just pretend like it didn't happen.
Live TV.
Absolutely right. But what's really cool with this too is it seems like that he's targeted Jay Briscoe, and they're setting up some kind of feud with them. And yes, please, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic, and definitely a matchup that I want to see. I guess I would say hopefully they don't give it away on the free product, and save it for a pay-per-view, if that's even a thing anymore. That's probably a discussion we can even have in itself. And speaking of big pay-per-views, we know now who the winner of the women's Royal Rumble match, Bianca Belair, who she's going to be challenging at WrestleMania. What do you think of the pick, Karl? Looks like it's going to be Sasha Banks.
The EST of WWE versus The Boss. You know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because both of them are very similar in size, very similar in work. They both can do high fly. They both can do mat work. They both can do a little bit of hardcore stuff if they need to. We've seen it from both of them, and I'm okay with it. I think that it's really going to be a good match. Is it going to be something like a really awesome Lita Trish type of situation? I don't think so. There really hasn't been enough time for that. But I think that the two of those people could 100% do it. If they wanted to, they could make this a rivalry that can stand the test of time and go down as one of the greatest rivalries within WWE history. I really think so. These two, I think, are going to be fantastic, and I think it's going to be a great match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're definitely setting up Bianca Belair to be a star with their company. I'm concerned a little bit for both of them kind of at this point, because it feels, I mean, for taking physical stature out of the equation here, because I mean they're obviously build wise are very, very different, but I mean other than that, Karl, and this is a reoccurring theme with a lot of WWE people here, is they're almost the exact same character, which has me kind of a little bit kind of concerned. Is that there's a lot of duplicates kind of going on, but with this, that's my only thing, is that it feels like the characters are very, very similar, and it'll be interesting to see how they can kind of play off of each other, because I mean they're both very talented. I think that they have the potential to really kind of steal the show if they wanted to, but yeah, that's the only kind of weird thing for me when I look at them. Taking, like I said, their height difference and all that kind of aside, that they're very, very similar to each other.
I'm gonna put a Simpsons reference out here for you, because I know both you and I are a fan of The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. So if we've got an orange on a bus, and we take another orange on a bus, and we roll the oranges, how exciting is that?
Yeah.
But now if we throw a banana in there,
go banana,
right?
Well,
the banana's not going to be exciting.
Make way for grapefruit.
Right? So if we have two things that are similar, whether it be grapefruit and an orange, right? It's going to be excitement because we're going to, which one's going to get there first? Is the big grapefruit going to get there? Is the little orange going to get there? Which one's going to get there first? Oh my God. Grapefruit. But if we throw something like grapefruit and a banana, well, shit, we already know what's going to happen. Right? That's just how I'm seeing it. So for the two similar, I'm okay with that because I think it could be very well.
To go off a bit of a tangent and totally unwrestling related, when it comes to grapefruits, right? You can go find us on YouTube or whatnot. Comedian Aziz Ansari was at a restaurant and saw at the table next to him, or was a table very nearby, 50 Cent was in the same restaurant, okay? And 50 Cent ordered a grapefruit soda. And then proceeded to say the greatest thing that one could say when one gets a grapefruit soda. He said, It's strange enough you're wearing the color, Karl. He said, "Why isn't this purple?" Because 50 Cent didn't know what a grapefruit was.
Oh,
why isn't this purple?
Goodness.
So thought I'd share that one. Look it up on YouTube. Apparently it's a real story. So that 50 Cent didn't know what a grapefruit was.
Wow.
Just thought I'd share that with everybody. But yeah, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I think that there's some potential for some good stuff there. But I got to say, going into WrestleMania, we're not too far away from it here, Karl. I mean, there's a couple interesting matches, but it's pretty underwhelming so far. Would you agree, or am I completely off the mark, so to speak?
You know, honestly, yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's not anything over the top, right? And I think, unfortunately, the situations of 2020 have
Doesn't
really
help.
just put a damper on it. Yeah, so I mean, I think that they're really still trying to rebuild everything from what's happened then. And I mean, we're still like, just because it became 2021 doesn't mean that the pandemic's over with, everything's back to normal and fine.
Oh, far from it.
Definitely
far from
isn't.
Yeah.
You're right, far from it.
Yep.
So we're still having to deal with all of that bull crap. So yeah, I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of do. It's harder to be able to have the pomp and circumstance when it comes to the flash of WrestleMania. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Karl, let's get to some breaking news. So, I mean, we covered a couple of the big breaking news things for the week, but I mean, there's some other stuff, and you had hinted at it earlier here, Karl, of not so much Enzo coming back, because I mean, he's already been kind of doing some of the stuff, but Big Cass coming back alongside him, and it seems to be a very somewhat polarizing decision. I think people are pretty kind of torn 50-50 on them. A lot of people were like, yay! A lot of people were like, nobody cares. Where do you sit on this one here, Karl? What did you think of Big Cass coming back after kind of a bit of a scary thing that happened to him? I mean, he had he has a history of some seizures and whatnot. So good to see him kind of bouncing back. But then again, I mean, I think people still have a really sour taste in their mouth after the Madison Square Garden thing. I think that's where a lot of people are kind of like, still.
Well, Kaz XL is kind of what he's going by right now, which is perfectly fine, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, you know what? Like the whole seizures thing, plus there's been addiction issues that have been in there as well, right? So, I mean, hey, it happens. People lose their way. Okay, cool. The guy looks to be in phenomenal shape right now. 100%. He looks better now than he did when he was working with the WWE. So who am I to judge anything when it comes to that? If he's out there trying to make a living for himself, let him do it.
Sure.
If he falls flat on his face, that's his own fault.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, as long as he can do what he needs to do to get over with the crowd, make them love him or make them hate him, either way, he gets over with the crowd, he's going to continue to get that bank. And as long as he continues to get that bank, whatever, who am I?
Yeah. Some other WWE stuff, I think really the only other one that I saw kind of really noteworthy to mention was with Rob Van Dam, it looks like him and the WWE have got a little bit of a thing kind of going on there. I guess they're doing a documentary about him, and I guess they've already filmed and shot some stuff. And I mean, you got to think at some point that he'll make some kind of appearance. So I'm sure there'll be probably a match or so in there. Maybe they'll use him somewhere. Maybe like a battle royal, like maybe Andre the Giant battle royal, maybe at WrestleMania if they want to do that. Maybe they can do something there with him. But I mean, obviously, I mean, he was a kind of a staple with him, and I'm not surprised, and I'm actually surprised that they waited this long to do something like that with Mr. Rob Van Dam, because he had pretty damn good career with WWE. I'd say. I mean, I think he achieved most of his success in ECW, but
Yes.
I mean, he was very popular with WWE as well.
Oh yeah, he definitely was. Kind of what I'm seeing from this. I guess there's been a couple of little interviews that have happened with Rob Van Dam already about this, and he's saying that it was essentially totally open. That there was really no censorship when it comes to what he wanted to talk about. Now, post-production could tell a whole different story. Mm-hmm. But at least while he was doing the interviews and able to sit down and do what he has to do, they didn't really stop him from talking about anything, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was all about 420. Doesn't matter. They were letting him just talk, right? Yeah. So, I mean, good for him. And I hope that they really do include some of that, because to be honest with you, Rob Van Dam is a marijuana connoisseur, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's becoming a lot more open nowadays when it comes to weed and marijuana use, and legalized in a lot of different areas, whether it's in the United States or Canada. So, I mean, yeah, sure. Whatever. This will be good. And you're right. They waited way too long, I think.
Yeah, hopefully not too long.
No. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not.
Yeah. Hopefully not too long that people have forgotten. I mean, obviously people like us have forgotten who he is, but maybe the people that are, somewhat kind of casual observers, maybe would have saw him and they maybe kind of, oh yeah, I remember that guy. The guy that, what was that, Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother? Or, what is that, right? So, but yeah, cool to see. Okay, Karl, let us go to...
No.
Oh, you got something else. What do you have for breaking news?
For breaking news, I have got the New Japan Pro Wrestling will be doing a tournament for the unified...
yeah, good catch.
New Japan Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship are being unified. Mm-hmm. There will no longer be an Intercontinental Championship. It will just be the World Heavyweight Championship. Joe has a little bit of a sad face for that, and I totally get it. I do. But historically, taking a look over things, I mean, how many times did somebody hold both of those championships at the same time? It was bound to happen. From what I understand as well, we are going to be getting a new championship. So I hope that it looks as gorgeous and prestigious as both of those championships already do. And so I mean, there's going to be a tournament that's coming out to crown the number one contender for that championship that will be revealed during that bracket.
And it makes logistical sense too that they would pick that and not say like the U.S. title, because we're doing this whole New Japan America thing, so that's kind of their thing. So otherwise, if that wasn't the case, I would say, I would cannibalize the American title and keep the Intercontinental title, because that has a lot more prestige, a lot more history. But I get it. I hope it's not a permanent thing, because I think that they actually used that title the proper way over New Japan. So it would be a little sad for them to take that away permanently. But only time will tell.
That's right.
Okay. You got any other breaking news, or do you want to move on to our match of the week?
Match of the week.
All right, here we go. All right, so for our match of the week here, of course, at the beginning here, we have to decide who's going first. You want to go first, or do I go first?
I'll go first.
What do you got?
So this week, okay. I was looking up just some stuff on YouTube, and
Me too.
we'll get to this a little bit later. But our next show, Turnbuckle Rewind, I looked up that match that we're going to be doing, and we'll let you guys know at the end of the show what matchup that's going to be. So I looked it up, and I just let it continue to play afterwards. So it just auto picked another match, and it was just going through. And I came across Chris Hero versus Kevin Steen.
Nice.
Ring of Honor. Now, I can't remember when this was, but it was a Ring of Honor. What I remember from it, though, a fantastic match. I mean, Chris Hero is amazing, as well as Kevin Steen. Both very fantastic workers. But what I remember from it is that commentary threw out there that Kevin Steen, or Kevin Owens, as he's known in the WWE, wears the shorts and t-shirt to the ring as a big F-U to Jim Cornette. And I was like, wait a second, what? So I actually had to go and take a look and be like, holy crap.
That's
yeah,
true,
like Jim Cornette essentially had said, you know, you're not a real professional wrestler if you don't have proper gear.
Yep.
So Kevin Steen was like, screw you. And so I mean, but fantastic matchup. It definitely was. I've seen a lot of matches between Kevin Steen and Chris Hero. Always fantastic. But I was happy to go down that rabbit hole of YouTube and come across that matchup, and it was great.
Nice. Once again, Jim Cornette endearing himself to the wrestlers that he worked with, and I'm being very sarcastic in that remark. Mine, strangely enough, here, Karl, is also coming from Ring of Honor this week, but not from YouTube, as it usually does for myself, but from weekly ROH programming. And most recently, this was their main event for, they're calling it a championship edition of Ring of Honor television, and of course was the Ring of Honor World Championship match between Rooch and Shane Taylor. Wow, is all I can say. Pretty cool. With the new kind of venue that they're shooting at, you know, they have these padded barriers and stuff now, so they can kind of do quite a bit there. I mean, just a great match between these two guys, and exactly kind of what I was expecting. Just hard hitting and lots of really cool stuff here.
Nice.
Roosh still that ROH champion. I mean, he's getting up there for title reign. Yeah, he didn't have to defend it for quite a while there, but we're up over a year with Roosh holding that title. So I was kind of hoping that they would throw it on Shane because I'm a fan of him. And
Right.
but as of right now, Roosh still that ROH champion.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, for sure, man. Some cool stuff happening with Ring of Honor. I'm happy that they're doing stuff again, because they're one of my favorite promotions out there.
Mine too.
All right, man. Let us take a brief break here and hear from our friends over at Collar and ElbowBrand.com, and we'll come back with our Showstopper segment.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
The dictionary defines hero as a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Being a hero in life is far more than words printed on a page. It takes an unwavering code, a compass that points true north always. And in times like these, it takes sacrifice. Hero shouldn't be a word defined by a dictionary. It's a word that should be defined by the best of us. Hero has a new definition.
All right, guys, Mighty Joe and Karl Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk. And as you saw, their friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com, if you use our promo code JK Podcast at the checkout, you will get 10% off your entire order. As usual, Karl, just great stuff over at collarandelbowbrand.com. Every time I go on that site, I see something I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I would like to get one of those. I mean, probably good that I don't go there too often, otherwise I would have way too much wrestling apparel to wear.
Right. We are into March right now, which means Shamrock time. Mm-hmm. And so they've actually got a new shirt over there for St. Patrick's Day.
Nice.
So go and check that out and add it to your cart. And go and find something in the clearance section and add that to your cart. And then when you go to checkout, use promo code JK Podcast and get that 10% off both pieces. Or if you decide to get more. Either way, it's for your entire order, new or clearanced merch. So go ahead, collarandelbowbrand.com and use that promo code JK Podcast.
Yeah, I'm actually on the site right now, and this is some pretty new stuff. That there's that Shamrocks and Shenanigans.
Share your screen, dude.
Yeah, I guess I probably could. Why not? Why don't we? When we have a little bit of time, why don't we share this with our viewers here? Let us open.
This is something we haven't done. So everyone that is watching with us today, you are here for a first. We are showing you the collarandelbowbrand.com website right now. That new Shamrock and Shenanigans one there, fantastically gorgeous. I've seen it on a few people. They've done some promos and put it out there, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And you're right, like there's so much new stuff here that you can't go wrong. There's a little bit of everything for anyone, and it's really not like just a very generic type of thing. They kind of really cater to everybody, so there's a style for everyone, including women's merchandise too.
Yep. And even on here, there's a lot of Good Brother stuff like Boozing with the Boys, with a logo that's very reminiscent of the Budweiser logo. There's a D'Lo Brown here shirt, which is looking like the Adidas symbol. And in their clearance section, I mean, there's, of course, that mirror tee there, the hoodie. Some good prices on some stuff there, already kind of discounted. And like I said, if you use our promo code JK Podcast, so you get an additional 10% discount on top of that. So some cool stuff there. Make sure and check out our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com. All right, Karl, let us get to our Showstopper segment. All right, so for this week's Showstopper segment, I figured we'd do something a little bit different here, Karl, and not talk about wrestling, strange enough. And because I have been asked this occasionally, what do you guys watch on television or whatnot when you're not watching wrestling? Which, believe it or not, is happens quite often where I want to watch something that isn't wrestling. What have you been kind of watching here, Karl, when you're not watching some good old professional wrestling? What have you been watching these days?
Well, I have cut the cord. So I really don't have cable television. So for myself, I tend to watch a lot of YouTube.
Yep.
I'm watching a lot of like unboxings and stuff like that. There's some people that I enjoy watching that do some unboxings of whether it's Funko Pops or mystery crates or different things like that. But when it comes to like television programming, I like Kitchen Nightmares. Right?
Which version?
I like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, because he did some in the UK, and then he did some in the any of it. They're all good.
Yeah, any of it at all. Restaurant Impossible. That's another good one. I like Guys Grocery Games.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the Food Network.
Yeah.
I do.
I
subscribe to. Yeah,
we like food. Yeah.
I subscribe to Amazon Prime.
Nice.
So with Prime as well, I subscribe to Stacked TV, which gives me like 6 or 7 different channels that I'm okay with. It gives me Adult Swim, which allows me to watch Family Guy, and allows me to watch The Cleveland Show. right? So it gives me like some of these different, animated shows that Bob's Burgers. I freaking love Bob's Burgers.
Is good,
That's amazing too, right?
Yep.
But then nostalgic, I've been watching a lot of MASH.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of MASH lately, which, again, a classic show.
One of the best.
Love that show.
One of the best.
You're right. One of the best of all times.
Yeah.
The Golden Girls, another one that I've been watching a lot of lately. Yeah. And then I've been watching Disney stuff. Cool. Whether it's, live streamers that have been out doing walk-arounds and rides and stuff like that at Disney, or whether it's watching Disney programming itself. So, there's a little insight into kind of what Karl Karufel watches when he's not watching professional wrestling.
Very cool. For myself, you had mentioned you cut the cord. You're a cord cutter. I was for quite a while too, but not too long ago. I actually did resubscribe to cable television to get some stuff that I want to watch, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But one of the main things that I'm watching here, and I'll use a visual aid here. So for those that are listening on the audio only version, this would be a good time to maybe switch over to the video version if you wanted to see this. But I have been watching a lot of The Big Bang Theory. I do have the entire series, and I'm actually just getting ready to start season 10. I've been watching this like crazy. It has been one of my favorite TV shows for quite a long time, and nice to get my hands on this. And it's been a really good watch. And alongside with that, and this is one that will probably legitimately surprise you, Karl, of a sport that I've really kind of got into watching, and I actually do subscribe to a channel of it on cable, is I've really gotten into watching cricket, believe it or not. I've been watching cricket like crazy. Like I've been sitting down and like watching it for hours. I've really started to get into watching the sport. I told you I was going to surprise you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've really gotten into it. It's now that I've watched it and I kind of understand it, it's a really, really interesting sport. And for spectators, what I think is really cool is it's like a whole day kind of outing. It's really, really popular in places like Australia and South Africa and over in the UK. And it really is like a family kind of outing thing. You go, like you spend like 8 hours there, and you just enjoy yourself. And I think it's a really cool athletic sport, and it's also a really good outing for the fans and the spectators of it. Not so much right at the very moment, but thanks to channels like Cricket Plus here in Canada, you can watch all kinds of it on television, and you can of course stream it on your devices as well. So yeah, it's something I've really got into watching.
Wow, I've tried to. I definitely have. Maybe it's a lack of understanding. I'm not sure, but I just haven't really been able to get into cricket.
Yep.
Tennis. I enjoy watching tennis.
Yep.
But I'm blown away, dude. Never would I have thought that you would be a cricket fan.
Right, and I wasn't for a long time. And another big thing that I've been watching, of course, is a lot of Apple TV Plus. Because that comes bundled with the whole Apple One subscription, and they don't have a ton of content, but it is starting to get up there. They have some good movies. They have some good exclusives. One of the big ones, there's a Tom Hanks World War II movie called Greyhound on there. That's really really good. Shows like C. Is a really good one where it's basically like the premise that takes place in the future, but everybody's lost the ability to see. But yeah, there's these two kids that are born with the gift of sight, and it's very much like similar to like a Game of Thrones kind of series. There's some good documentaries. Just recently, they did one on Billie Eilish and on her, and then you can see how she essentially makes her music out of her bedroom on a Apple computer with her and her brother. So it's some pretty cool stuff there that. There's tons of great content, and it's not very expensive. And I think the majority of people, what's been really cool with them, Karl, is they did that back, for, I guess, a little over a year now. If you bought a new Apple device, you got a year worth of Apple TV Plus. So a lot of people have been getting Apple TV Plus for free, and they've actually extended that almost into this coming summer. So they're really giving their their users a chance to see what they got, and hopefully a lot of people will choose to continue to subscribe and go for that Apple One subscription. If you go onto their website, if you're somebody who owns one of their products, especially an iPhone, and if you own a couple of other products, it makes sense to get that subscription because you get a lot of iCloud storage, you get Apple Music, Apple Arcade, you can get you get Fitness Plus and news and all that kind of stuff. They have a really solid subscription service there, and been making good use of it. And there's some good shows on there. But like I said, it would be really cool to put over the top for myself if they could get one of these wrestling companies involved somehow. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, you had mentioned some other ones too, like Bob's Burgers. I love that friggin' show. I watch that like crazy too. And and one thing that I've gotten into over the last few years is I like getting full box sets of some of my favorite TV shows, and I do have some other ones, that are have big nostalgic value for me, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated show. I have that. I have some other ones, some good, Star Trek: The Next Generation. I have that entire series. I like binge watching some of my favorite shows. I put it in and I'll watch 5 or 6 episodes. Just lose myself in it. So it's a nice release from, if I'm not doing work or not doing this.
Yeah.
It's usually what I'm up to, watching some of my favorite stuff.
Sweet.
All right, man. Well, I guess that about wraps up here for this week. What do you want to get out there before we head out for today?
As always, we just want to make sure that you guys go and follow us, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find us at TB Talk Pod. As well, we do have a YouTube channel. Go and search out Turnbuckle Talk on YouTube and look for our logo. If you're not sure what the logo looks like, well, look at our Facebook page. It's right there. Look at our Twitter. Look at our Instagram. The logo is right there. Go and find that on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that when we go live, you get it on YouTube as well. We have our other sponsor there, Phoenix at fnxfit.com. If you're looking for supplements for help with that workout, go and check out fnxfit.com. Use promo code TBTalkPod. You're going to get 15% off your order. Great stuff over there. I absolutely love every product that's there that I have tried. Go and give them a look-see and make a purchase. Don't forget, though, TB Talk Pod, you're going to get 15% off that entire order. Joe, I want you to mention something for us here. What have we got coming up?
Yes, on Turnbuckle Rewind this week over on the Love Wrestling platform. Tying in to actually quite a bit of what we talked about in this episode, sticking with Ring of Honor, we're going to be going and breaking down Marty Scurll's debut match in Ring of Honor over in the UK versus Dalton Castle. Dude, I'm looking forward to that. Those are two of my favorite guys to watch. And I'm excited to cover that one, especially Dalton Castle. And then just that... seeing the villain kind of doing his thing, it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to breaking down that match. It's gonna be fun.
I definitely am too. You got anything else for us today? Any plugs? Anything you need to get out there?
Again, just outside of what we do here over with Turnbuckle Talk, of course, we are part of the HTM Podcast Network. Make sure and check out all the great shows over there. Jargo and Rick with the Hitting the Marks and all the other great shows that we have there as well. And of course, a shout out to our friends over at lovewrestling.ca. Make sure and check them out as well. Alongside us, there's tons of other great content out there. Make sure and check it all out. We're all over the place.
Awesome.
All right, man. I got wraps up for this week. I will see you guys on the next one.
TheChairShot.com? TheChairShot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. TheChairShot.com. Always use your head.
It's me, it's that Armin B to B. As you can tell in the background,
We are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows. We have weekly content, especially lit up by the flagship show. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.